Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm coming to you guys with another video on my 2021 Ford F-150. No, this is not going to be a video about me complaining about anything, which has been a lot on this channel lately. I did have a lot of problems with this truck for the first 5-6 months that I've owned it in terms of electronics. The A-pin was replaced, all that. Now, the last few weeks have been awesome, and it seems like it's kind of heading for the better. So now I do feel like I can come out here and make a video talking about, I guess, the top 10 things that I like the most about this truck. The spec of this truck, it is a 2021 Ford F-150 Powerboost. This is the Lariat, and it's in the 502A package. It is a higher trim truck, so just make sure you realize that as I'm talking about some of the creature comforts and features that come along with that. Now, number one, first thing to mention is the ride quality. As I'm riding down the highway here, this is the best riding truck I've ever been in on the highway, bar none. And not only is it super composed on the road, but just even all of the buttons and the steering wheel, the seats, everything is just very comfortable. I have the heated steering wheel on right now. I can turn that off. I've got heated seats, cooled seats. There's just so much here, but it's all within reach. Everything you need is exactly where it needs to be. I do like the physical knobs. You have a nice big knob here for the heating and coolant controls. It's a different size from the volume controls, which is a big deal because when you're looking straight ahead on the highway, it's all about muscle memory. So having those things be different sizes and kind of in a different location helps out. All the rest of these buttons, again, just very nice, big physical buttons. You've got the brake controller over here on the right-hand side, which is exactly where a brake controller should be. A couple critiques that I do have, though, is some of these controls, as they get a little bit lower, they're absolutely out of your sight, and there's not a whole lot of feel to these buttons. So the drive modes, it's great. You can turn this selector and go through drive modes. That's very easy. You can see the mode you're in up here on the gauge cluster. That's all within your line of sight. However, I have had these four-wheel drive button selectors on occasion maybe accidentally get pushed when going through those modes. And then you'll look down and be like, oh, I'm in 4 high, and you have to switch back to 2 high. It's only happened a couple times, but again, just kind of the way that this dial is right there with the four-wheel drive selector, you can kind of get on those on accident. The other critique I have is over here on the left-hand side. These buttons for the lights on the mirrors, the tailgate, and then all of your lighting controls, there's a lot of stuff down there that is very difficult to feel out. There's not really any way to know which buttons you're hitting without making an effort to go look over there. I wish that was done maybe a little bit differently, but kind of is what it is. Ultimately, again, in terms of on-road feel, though, this truck, incredible. Now, the next thing is the Powerboost. And I'll get into the Powerboost in a moment in terms of some of the other added benefits, but the horsepower and torque of this vehicle. 430 horsepower, 570 foot-pounds of torque, and I'll tell you what, it is on tap and ready to go. There's maybe a small amount of turbo lag, but the Powerboost, the battery, and the electric motor kind of helps pick some of that up. So this truck is the fastest truck I've ever owned. Yeah, for a pickup truck, this thing is fast. Now, before we get into the Powerboost in terms of what it does, aside from provide you with a ton of power, is I want to talk about my next favorite thing, the work surface. This is a working truck. If you've ever spent time on a job site with a laptop, with a notepad, anything like that, to get in this truck, drop your shifter, flip open the flat work surface, and actually sit down and start typing out some reports, things like that. It works great. I've had this thing with blueprints up, just sitting on a job site, able to work directly out of my truck. Very smart on Ford. I think that is an amazing feature that should be in every single pickup truck. I have had trucks in the past, and actually I just ordered for a guy at work who has a Ram 1500, one of those Ram mounts that, you know, for the laptop that mounts to the passenger seat. That's fine and dandy, and it works out well, but the problem with those mounts is that they actually end up taking valuable space from your passenger, and they're kind of a pain. I mean, I've sat in the passenger seat with those, and your knees kind of hitting up on the post for it. It's not perfect, So this, the work surface, awesome. Now getting back to the Powerboost, because there is more to it than just horsepower and torque, is all of the added benefits. Now I saw somewhere on a forum that somebody was addressing the critique of the Powerboost from some people who say it's not as much of a hybrid as I would have liked. And I do agree with the statement that I read from somebody else that said the Powerboost should be viewed more as a power boost. Like, it's just giving you a little more off the line to supplement that twin turbo V6. And I agree with that. Now, you do get some fuel economy gains. My truck right now says it's averaging 19.5 miles per gallon, which I think might be a little aggressive. I'll do a separate video on that. I think it's actually getting about 18 and a half, but I'll do another fuel economy video later. The Powerboost, part of the benefits is, as somebody who actually, again, going back to the work surface, those types of things, if you're going to use the truck for actually doing some work, it is so nice to be on a job site, put out your computer, have the truck running strictly on battery power, no engine running, and be able to have your air conditioning running, your heat running, whatever the case may be, and not burning fuel all day, or just that wear and tear of an engine running. So it's nice to be able to do that on battery power. Absolutely love it. I did a test previously where I ran the truck for about a half an hour, and over the course of that half an hour, the motor only ran for about 5 minutes, just to keep the battery charged. Now, the next thing that I absolutely love, the 7.2 kilowatt hour generator. Now, I've seen some comments from people who will say, kind of boil it down to simplicity and say, oh, you spent $60,000 for a $2,000 generator. And the answer to that is, it's not a $60,000 generator. It's a $60,000 truck that I've optioned up to the point where the 7.2 kilowatt hour generator was only a $700-ish option. And is it worth it? You could probably argue whether or not the Powerboost is worth it for you. I think for somebody who's working out of their truck, the option for the Powerboost is worth it. The generator, once you get to that point, $700, you can't find a cheaper generator. So for me, I really like the fact that I can use this truck in an emergency setting. If I needed to power the most important things in my household, I could. And that's a huge benefit to me. Prior to owning this truck, I didn't have a generator, and I never really owned one because I didn't have anywhere to put it. So for me, this is just kind of a nice prepper play. I'm not really I guess you'd say prepper, but I do think about things like that. Now, the next thing I absolutely love and kind of hate for the time being is over-the-air updates. The fact that this truck can theoretically receive updates in the future to enhance features, I think is awesome. The reason why I'm not super sold on it currently, or don't love it, I guess, totally at this point, is the updates have been kind of sporadic. They don't provide you a lot of detail about what they're updating, and I just don't have faith in Ford being a software company at this point in time. I've said this previously. I think that Tesla is a tech company that makes cars, and I think that all the actual legacy manufacturers, GM, Ford, they're trying to catch up, and they're car companies that are trying to be tech companies. And I think it shows when it comes to some of the features and quirks in the software with these vehicles. Next thing to mention, configurability. This truck has so many options between what you want it to do with your driver's assistant, how much do you want it to chime in, how much do you not want it to chime in. There's so much ability to change even things like automatic high beams. That gets into my next thing that I absolutely love, the headlights on this truck. I had to go through so much work in my 2015 GMC Sierra through aftermarket lighting just to get those headlights to be okay. These headlights on this F-150 out of the box need absolutely zero aftermarket anything to make them better. Now, the last thing is the power tailgate. I just kind of looked at that like I was already down the rabbit hole. I use it quite a bit, actually, and I find it to be a pretty functional accessory. Now, everybody who sees you drop that tailgate comments like, oh, how spoiled. It's definitely a very spoiled feature, but when you pull up somewhere and you're able to just hit a button and drop the tailgate, it's pretty nice. If you're on the fence about whether or not you should get that feature, I'd be saying I think you would use that much more than you think you would. So those are all the things that I wanted to come out and talk about that I love about this truck. And again, it took me kind of a while to go through some issues that I was having with the truck. And I wanted to wait to do this video to make sure that I was what I felt in the clear from some of the problems that I was experiencing previously. And I'm starting to feel pretty good about this truck. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you guys next time.